Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to keep up to date with the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior, Paul, Lifting the Lid, Flatten Earth, Eben and Chocolate Saying. Good to have you all.
Hello.
Check 1, 2.
Hello.
Sibilance.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Just kidding.
We can hear you.
Good afternoon.
Excellent. Arwin's finally sorted. We spent the entire pre-show sorting out Arwin's mic, and now he sounds good. Thank the Lord.
Yeah, and my entire early bird show as well, by the way.
I saw basically an entire show of sound checking.
Right.
That's why you need a separate channel. So Oakley Cord for me. If you want to check out really riveting material of me fiddling with voice meter or playing with my mic, that's the channel to go and check out. Probably best not to do it on your main channel, Arwin. No offense.
I'll win with our win later. Talk to you all about it. I love it.
Okay. So yeah,
Has an echo.
there's no more echo, or there is, because I got my headphones off now.
No
more
just
echo.
had one.
Is this better?
Arwen, you're good.
Okay, let's continue. Housekeeping?
Indeed. Any signs of curvature? Hey, Plain Truth. Good timing.
Nope. Only obstruction. Due to the limited viewing angle and the diffraction limit.
Fair enough. Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Oh no, Ranty's not here. Any signs of axial rotation?
No.
No.
Nope.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Gravity, Travis? Scientific evidence thereof?
No.
Any evidence that we can have a gas pressure without a container?
Definitely not.
You're standing on it.
No.
No. That's an interesting comeback when Owen says you're standing on it. So when people say, just go outside, that is essentially an expression of their fundamentalist belief that the sky is a vacuum, because it doesn't demonstrate that you can have gas pressure without a container. The necessary antecedent for gas pressure being a container, something to press upon. So no evidence of gas pressure without a container?
No. You can't have gas pressure without a container. The pressure comes from the interaction with the walls of the container. That's where the gas pressure comes from. If anybody tells you go outside and check it out, you have gas pressure. Yeah, that's our point. Go outside, we do have gas pressure. But where do we get the pressure from?
What about the distance to the sun? Any evidence of that?
A limited looping confine, though.
Say that again, Arwin.
Why is Arwin so quiet?
I've just turned him down because he's constantly fluctuating in his audio volume, and I'm trying to control it desperately.
Oh.
No doubt he will now blast out everybody in the audience.
Hello? Hello?
Yep.
Right.
There
So
it is.
what I said is that
Holy shit.
theoretically, a wall can also be a limited looping confine.
We're not that bothered about theoretical physics, though, are we?
No, yeah, I am. But I explained this even 2 years ago, and you didn't get it back then. So, yeah, why would I presume that you're going to get it now?
Not about whether I get it or not. It's about it being theoretical physics. Let's see what evidence there is to support the assertion that we have gas pressure for some reason.
Right. Well, I'm just saying that containers to be solid hard barriers. They could simply be the containment of a looping confine.
That's a lovely suggestion.
Yeah, it is. And very interesting to find out if that is actually true. Because, yeah, you're going to have to find some proof of looping first. And that can be done. Maybe not scientifically, but it can be done by widespread deduction.
That sounds like an aberration to me.
No, it's not.
I did have
Hold
someone
on,
tell me.
my kid's got an opinion on it. Let's just have a listen.
An
What's that you
aberration
say?
is widely suggested, but not actually there.
My
If
kid
it's
said
looping,
that.
then it will be there. And
My kid said that it's the
very
unicorn farts.
unsuggestive.
Arwin, the unicorn fart. We just need to find proof of unicorns first, but unicorn farts apparently hold in the gas pressure. We just need the proof of unicorns.
I'm not denying that gas pressure requires a container. I'm just saying there may be more definitions of a container than just a solid barrier.
Arwin, can I suggest that you go back to your old mic just for today? There's clearly something
No.
not right with your wire
No.
or setup.
No.
Why not?
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
There is none of that.
Any evidence of the R value?
It exists in math.
Robin there? Has Robin spoken yet?
Hi, no evidence of the R value.
Excellent, well said, well rounded out. Thank you, Robin. That concludes the housekeeping.
Has there been any Gloober on at all this week?
Rumpus just came on and sniped everyone.
Yeah,
Brenda.
besides that.
Zinder
It
went
wasn't
on,
Rumpus.
Apollo was on. Yeah.
I don't think it was Rumpus either. Who was it, Earth Flattener?
It was the guy named Mike Martin. Yeah, you can blame me too, but you're not going to win.
Who? Me? Earth Flattener, who was that comment aimed at?
You. I just
didn't blame you.
added a screenshot of Mike Martin. I thought you said maybe it was Earth Flattener.
No, nobody accused you.
No, you misheard me. I said, do you know who it was, Earth Flattener?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was Mike Martin. I came back in and I sniped him.
Good lad.
You can see in the back chat I added a screenshot of what his image looks like.
They're all just sock accounts. I mean, the issue... Here we go.
Crap. Sorry.
So, the issue with... I've forgotten his name now. Wesley Stace. Do you remember Wesley Stace? Flat Earth News and more. Well, he was going through the exercise of trying to track down a porn bomber. I don't really quite understand why, but nevertheless, he was exposing a porn bomber. And all he ended up doing was going to somebody's account that was called One Stop for Gaming. Well, if people are aware of Dread, I've forgotten what he used to be called now, but anyway, he's got a new channel. I can't shout him out because I can't remember the name of it. I'm sorry, Dread, if you're listening to this. But someone's just replicated Dread's account. You know, One Stop for Gaming might be Dread's account, but that's not who's sniping people when they come in with that account. But Wesley Stace had gone through, found it, and was like, oh, this is One Stop for Gaming. This is the guy doing the porn bombing. It's like, well, yeah, but if you research that, you'll just find Dread. And it's not him doing it. I say it isn't him doing it. I don't know that
That's a
for a fact,
shapeshifter
but-
sock.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a sock. Ah, Travis. Excellent stuff. I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay, you hear me?
Just about. You're a bit quiet. I'll turn you up.
All right, la 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 la.
Perfect.
I'm gonna try to screen share screen. I've got all my bookmarks closed. Okay, so I didn't do a very good job editing, so just forgive my editing. But let me try to figure out which window it is. Okay, all right. So basically, this is taken all on the same day and the same elevation. This is the early part of the day, like 6 o'clock in the morning. And so just as we watch this boat, we're watching it approach the island of Anacapa. And at the very edge of the island is the lighthouse. And I'll stop it along the way. I think I'm just going to do about 5 minutes of this because it just gets a little bit tedious. You'd have to be a geek to want to watch all of the details. So just kind of watch. Oh, hold on. I want to mute that. So just watch the ship at the horizon level. So I don't know how far away this boat is, but the island is 19 odd miles. You can see the spray at the helm of the ship when if you look close enough, when it goes up and down sometimes you'll see it spray. Okay, so here comes the lighthouse over here to the right, okay? So right here you've got this band underneath the island. You can see the lighthouse.
Travis, would you agree you've seen that band underneath the lighthouse before, right?
Yeah, you'll see more. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing floats. This whole island floats. But my point is that right here, if you look at the specs online, it's about 220 feet above sea level here. And then the lighthouse is, I think, 40 or 50 feet high. Okay. So this was my first time shooting back in November. I had never shot these islands before. I didn't know what I was going to see. And so I'm just shooting around. Now, right here, it looks like a building of some sorts, but I don't think it is because when I went on Google, all I could see here were cliffs. So I don't know what this is, but I make a distinction in just a minute. You'll see it, what I think I'm seeing. All right, so I'm pausing this right here. I think that this, below this line, I believe this is mirrored. So I don't think this is physical. So up here is physical. Below the line is not physical. And you can see this right here seems to be mirroring this. This seems to be mirroring this. Okay? I don't know what to skip. All right.
The boat is sinking.
Yeah. That's what I call it. I have an episode that I call the sinking ship. I think I'm going to back up 10 seconds.
But you can still see evidence of it mirroring at the bottom. Like you can see back.
Hold on, Paul. I only know what's coming because Travis took at 3 o'clock in the morning for him, called me up and showed me what he was going to show. So I just want you guys to bear with him till he gets to the bit he showed me. If that makes sense, Travis.
So I'm just going to walk through this just real quick because all of it's interesting. This isn't the part that I showed Nathan, but so here, watch the ship turn, and then you almost got the same thing that you've seen with Ranty's ship. Where okay, this is why I paused. So right here, this is something on the horizon. This is a air that fluctuates, or I don't even know what. But think about what could be behind this. You know, what is this obscuring back here in the background? You know, it disappears. Now, when this turns, there, I cut it right there. So I think that this is a greater than sign. So that this line here is where the physical boat stops and starts, so that this is not physical underneath that line. That's not physical. Okay? All right, so I want you to pay attention right here. There is a light, an oil rig, like this oil rig right here. There's an oil rig right here too. So just keep that in mind as we see what's coming up. Again, just think of the horizon line. Watch it dance. Right? I don't think that this part below the line is physical. Just watch the line right here. Watch how it blends in and out with the lights and the water. Okay. All right. Now remember what I said. Watch this island come into play here. Watch. Oh. I'm going to try to creep in. All right. See that? Pay attention to what you don't see. Okay? Everybody see that?
You did this with me. They don't know what they don't see yet, but yeah.
Here we go. Now, I'm moving now back from the left side of the island to the right side of the island, okay? And this is the same day, a half an hour later. Okay? Everybody see that?
Does everyone get the point? Does everyone understand what's just happened? Say no if you don't, and Travis will just do it again.
All right.
Yeah, what you're saying is that there's two reflections, one above the other, one behind the other, and that can't be a curve, can it?
Okay. Pay attention to what you don't see right here, Riley.
Yeah, you're not seeing that structure. What is that structure? Is it a boat or is it a...
It's an oil rig.
So presumably the oil rig is mobile and it's moved, right?
I don't even know what to tell you. I have no idea what to tell you what this means or what I even see. Okay, so then I cut back. So there it is.
Oh,
again.
it must be looming. It must have loomed behind the curve, but for some reason the thing behind it didn't. There must be a variable looming. That's what it is. It's super variable looming refractive hyena.
No, it's fractal looming. Come on, guys.
No, it's slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena.
Yeah.
It's fractal looming.
So anyway, I was doing this primarily for the lighthouse, and I came across that when I was looking through all my footage, and I was just like, what in the world? So
I'm assuming that the rig moves.
yeah, man, but what do you, I don't understand. What do you think? So like here, see, here's the end of the island. You can see that it's the same island. See? This is earlier in the morning. And this is a half hour later. But you can tell that that's the same end of the island.
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
And then right here, again, is where I would say that the physical stops and the miraging starts. You've got the greater than sign here.
Well, the only, because obviously you're not seeing the rest of it above the horizon, not just the structure, but the sticky up bits, the mast bits. So it must have moved, mustn't it?
I don't know, man. That's it. I mean, unless you want to watch the rest of the 15 minutes.
No, that's perfect, Travis. You've shown the best bits of it, so thank you very much. Thank you for presenting that.
All right. And how do I stop screen share? All right.
That's great. I'm hoping you'll talk amongst yourselves while my kid's really noisy.
Well, Robin wants to present something, Nathan. He'd like to discuss this so-called proof by a channel called Rory. I've done a private hangout with him too. Can we screen share Robin and let's have this conversation?
Perfect. Yeah, no worries. Did you just want me to put you on with the camera, Robin?
Yes. So if I lose the camera,
you're on.
Okay, thank you. So do I use the screen share feature of Google Hangouts?
Yeah.
Go for that. Okay.
Wave your mouse over the page, top left.
Yeah.
I would mute the volume too on the video.
Okay, let me know when you can see the screen.
Yep, you're on.
Great. I'm just going to maximize this and pause it. So this is a channel called Rory, I've had a private hangout with him. Seems a decent enough chap to have a conversation. And he walked me through this entire presentation, making his case for what is essentially a flicker image that he's taken. And he's attempting to prove curvature by looking at the altitudes and heights of all these mountains in this picture. Mount Rainier being the tallest in the background. My mouse is hovering over it here. So it's this peak here being the tallest. And if we lived on a globe with a curvature, then we should see these mountains fall in a certain sequence. If we applied the curvature maths, we should see the tops of these peaks sequence in a certain pattern. So
it's me.
Hi, Jose.
So
hello.
If I just scoot forwards here, what he then does is he uses a prediction model in his calculation to predict the position, i.e., what's the highest in this picture, what's the next, etc., based on the actual heights of the mountains. And he has this prediction of Rainier being the highest, therefore it should be, if we lived on a flat plane, it should be the highest. Mount Adams being the second, Mount Hood being the third, and so on. But the actual position in the photo is 54216, and his theory is that if we apply the curvature maths, the actual position in the photo is different, and it kind of falls in line with the globe model. So I'm probably not making an awful lot of sense, but what we're saying here is, if I go back to this image, if we live on a flat plane, then Mount Rainier should be the tallest one in the picture, and Mount Jefferson being the second by the looks. Sorry, Mount Adams being the second, then Mount Hood, then Mount Jefferson, based on these heights. And I must admit, when you look at this, it is quite compelling, because it does actually seem to sequence in the way it would if you apply the curvature maths. Now, when presented with this cold, I couldn't really verify or validate any of it, because A, I didn't know where he sourced the picture from, and B, I didn't have all these calculation formulas to hand, so I couldn't go off and do it. And being quite a busy chap, I'm not really of a mind to go and do this myself, but if someone wants to, then I'd be really happy if someone in the community can have a look at this and see if they can determine whether these outcomes are correct. Because I've not seen anything like this before, where it seems that this tilts in the favor of globe Earth. But I'd welcome some people's thoughts on this.
Sure. Do you want to pop the picture back on?
Say again, Nathan.
Can you pop the picture back on?
Yeah. Okay. So
I think this has done the rounds before this picture. I can't remember who addressed it, but it's already been addressed by somebody. But
has it?
I think the way to do with it is to recall who it was that did it, so we can go see what his answer was and see how he did it and what his conclusions were. But this picture has definitely been addressed before.
Great. Because yeah. So the channel is Rory, and then he captures the viewer's elevation, then all the mountains elevations. And I do have the Flickr picture on one of my other browser tabs, so I can see that it is that picture. But who's to say how authentic it is, and is this really what you would see at the top of this particular mountain? And how valuable an exercise is it? Those are the questions in my mind. Can we really bottom this one out? It's quite a hard one to go and replicate. You're gonna have to get your climbing gear on and a very good camera.
Yeah, he has to prove where the picture was taken from. That is the most important part, because you need to verify what his claimed height is.
Yeah.
That's the most, and if that's not there, it's kind of not futile, but you have to accept that.
Even look at the terrain. I mean, so you've got the viewer on the left that says that he's at 10,360 feet, right?
Mm.
So then you've got the middle sister there, which is 10,000 feet and 300 feet shorter than he is. But look at the terrain. Where the hell are you going to stand on that? Like, where is this guy standing? I'm just trying to think through that, because that's not like inhabitable. He's not camping. He's not pitching a tent. That's like almost like Mount Everest kind of type hiking.
Could it be a drone picture?
Could it be a helicopter?
It's a possibility. Let's just scroll down again and see. Yeah, observer location. He's put a full geo position here, and circa 10360. And the original photos here. Oh, then there's a Metabunk thread. So more than happy to come back on after I've.
Well, wouldn't that tell you where the source was? That one link there.
The Metabunk link. This one.
I thought you were talking about the source for the photo. You said that you didn't know what the source was.
Yes, I don't know who took this picture. Okay. So if I click on it, we can go off to Flickr here, and this is the content creator. Taken a while back, so it's 2007. So arguably,
look there. You've got snow right there at the base of where that person's standing. That's a completely different shot. So it looks like it looks like the shot that you had earlier was zoomed in on, because right now this is where that guy's standing.
Yeah, standing on a ridge.
Did I hear you correctly to say that the mountain that's the furthest away should be the highest if you were on a flat plane? In other words, completely ignoring perspective.
Right.
Yes, thank you. This is why I wanted your own perspectives, because I'm not used to debating, and it just seemed to be problematic without knowing all the arguments.
Well, you need to calculate the angular size and then convert the angular size back to its height. You have to make two calculations per mountain. So, for example, Mount Rainier, right? Its angular size at 189.9 miles would be X. But then you make that X value for its angular size, convert it back into a height in feet. But then you've got to apply that feet amount to the drop or the curve, the bulge, whatever the phrase is on Metabunk. And I can guarantee you now that that Mount Rainier will not be seen, because it's too far away. It's too. Although it's big, because of perspective, it's gone very small, and you don't need a lot of curve.
Got it.
Once you go above like 40, 50 miles with mountains, most of them are actually gone behind the curve on a ball. But you can see mountains very easily on a flat plane, and that's what you see in here. You see mountains very easily, and we're seeing the effects of perspective. But there is maths that can be done on it. Somebody in chat will probably give you they'll probably remember who it was that's dealt with it.
Okay.
I think it might have been Nick from Phuket Word, if I'm not mistaken.
Right, yeah. Rory's had a debunk of Nick at some point.
What What Rory claims is a debunk might not actually be a debunk because he's probably debunked stuff with maths.
Well, I'm very grateful for the insight of perspective because I did discuss this with him on a private hangout, and I did say, don't forget perspective.
Another thing it could be, along with the perspective, is the angle of the camera when the shot was taken.
Yeah, it does look kind of central, but yeah, you're right. The angle is kind of important, but the bigger issue is you need to know how small is it because of perspective, but then apply the curve calcs to that size, and you'll pretty much see immediately that the smaller mountains in the foreground will block it out, as well as the fact that the curvature is going to make it drop out the way. But this has been, I don't know whether the right word is debunked, but numerous people have already dealt with this.
Have they?
So yeah. What's the name of the photo called? Yeah, so just type in flat Earth Mount Rainier, and then you'll see different. It might have been Thrive and Survive that did it.
Okay.
Thinking about it,
that's good.
Real quick, can I say something? Okay, so look at Mount St. Helens, and then look at Mount Rainier. I mean, you could draw a parallel line or a horizontal line from top to top.
Very good spot.
Okay, but Mount St. Helens is almost half the size of Mount Rainier, and it's 40 miles closer. I mean, just think, that's an interesting abstraction to think through. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes, I do. I mean, to some extent, if there was curvature, you could argue the taller mountain needs to be concealed, and it's 40 miles further away. But yeah, my head can't do the maths. But perspective certainly does account for it.
Well, look at Mount Adams. Mount Adams is the same distance as Mount St. Helens, and they're relatively the same size. And Mount St. Helens is 2/3 smaller.
Let's just nip this in the bud. So, the mathematical calculations that they use exclude perspective. Now, while some of the calculators will convert the aftermath of the calculation into an angular size, it does not alter that they are doing this in feet. So his claim is that given that Mount Rainier has the largest feet and inches value, it should be the largest on the page. Complete and utter poppycock. Perspective would dictate that it would get smaller the further it goes away. So these are the things you need to know, Robin. Their calculator completely excludes perspective. It does not have any account whatsoever for perspective. And the reason it doesn't have any account for perspective is because they have taken the effect of perspective and called it curvature. So they ignore perspective, and this is the killer, they assume their outcome. So if you can find where his maths is, like with anything in debate, you have to settle terms. So go to his maths that he's used, and
I will do. Yeah, thank you.
And then find where it's got an R value, and then just go back to him and ask him this. This is the only question you need to ask him. Where did you get the R value?
Thank you. I love it.
Can I give my feedback on it?
Yeah, please do.
I mean, not necessarily on this specific observation, but this is a very long distance observations. Not everybody has the capability to do this type of observations, but most of the people are able to do smaller scale long distance observations.
Yeah.
From 5 miles and up to 20 and 25 miles. I encourage more people to do this because it's being kind of left behind. And in the ball side, they want to go over the top and extreme long distances. They say this will prove, and very flattered once and forever. And I have heard them say this. I really don't agree with that. I think smaller distance, shorter observations, even 3 miles, 2 and 3 miles, because if you put your camera sitting down in a very calm little body of water 2 and 3 miles away, it should be a couple inches, a couple feet of curvature, and more people should be able to do this type of test. And that's what I encourage more people to do.
Well, that might be the case, Jose. It still doesn't change the fact that there's an assertion from this Rory dude that the biggest mountain should be the biggest, correct?
That's right.
Right, well that would be ignoring perspective now, wouldn't it? Because it's the furthest away.
Yeah, so a simple rule of perspective states that all points above one's eye level remain above eye level. If the Earth was flat,
That's
Rainier should be the
nonsense.
highest
Sorry,
mountain.
stop right there. Sorry.
There you
A
go.
simple rule
That's
of
what you
perspective
say.
states that all points above one's eye level remain above eye level. So if I've got a fly above eye level and it's 150 miles away, will it remain above eye level or vanish completely?
Yeah.
What about a car at 150 miles? Will that stay above eye level? Or will its angular size be so small that it cannot be seen at all? So no, a simple rule of perspective is not that all points above eye level remain above eye level, because there's also angular size to take into consideration, Rory. So things do get smaller into the distance, their angular size reduces. They don't just... The only effective perspective is not what stays above eye level when you draw it out in Muppet vision, which is what they basically do. They misrepresent what a flat plane should do by drawing it in the same perspective exclusive side elevation or orthographic representation. In other words, perspective exclusive. So when they make these declarations that a simple rule of perspective says basically we should see forever, then no, Rory, angular size is also something you have to take into consideration. Things do get smaller and eventually disappear completely with distance, whereas in your Muppet maths, you think that things that are above your eye line will always stay above your eye line. No, wrong. Things get smaller to the horizon. It's called, guess what? Perspective.
That's why we have those memes of jumbo jets seeming to dive headfirst like a dart into the ground.
I love those. Those are my favorite.
So,
can you go back to the mountain photo? I want to look at the distances.
Yes.
Because if we apply the 8 inches per mile squared, 89.9 miles, 0 feet of height, would be like 24,034.78 feet with the target hidden.
Have you done that on Metabunk so that he can use his own source?
No, this is on dizib.github.io.
Okay. Well, it does appear that even using the curvature maths, that mountain should be even further hidden. But thanks, Nathan. You've picked up on the point which I couldn't address at the time. I just referred to the perspective in general and hadn't really had the time to review the statements and assumptions here. But point number 2 is very flawed, isn't it? And point number 4, simple Pythagorean calculations, that's the assumption of the R value there.
Right, he's going to apply his curve mathematics and assume there's an R value. So he's automatically assuming his outcome. So whenever anything is studied with the curve maths, it is ultimately a begging the question fallacy. Because what they're doing is they're assuming their outcome. So they're not saying, let's have a look at this picture and work out what's what. They say, let's have a look at this picture and apply it to an arbitrary R value that we will say is in effect for all of these observations. And then when we cross-reference it with the flat plane, we'll exclude perspective and say that the biggest mountain should be the biggest.
Well said. Well said. That's great. Well, my work here is done, guys. You've addressed it beautifully. Thank you very much.
Absolute
That's
pleasure.
great. I will escape.
No problem.
I will escape out of here. Do I need to stop sharing now, or can you take it back?
No, it's all good. Shout out to Anthony and Ranty, who are the main contributors to exposing this deception of R and the hijacking of perspective. What Anthony calls a double dip.
So, do I need to stop screen sharing, guys, or are you going to take it back?
Take it back? What do you mean?
Do you need me to go stop screen sharing?
You don't have to. You can if you want to. I've taken you off screen anyway.
Great, thank you. Good man.
Do you want to explain
Awesome that you came in today, Robin.
Just before we move on from this subject, sorry, Anthony, are you there?
Yeah.
Can you explain the double drop?
I've just got the dog.
He's away from his microphone and my kid's snoring, otherwise I'd explain it.
Go off the toilet.
Can you hear this? Can you hear my kid snoring?
No.
Oh, okay.
Give me
So,
a
yeah,
sec while I
basically-
find.
So, sorry, Anthony. Can you explain the double drop? I don't know if you've got that diagram to hand or not.
I'm just going to get it. Bear with me while I find it.
I came in late today, you know, just a few minutes, want to join. I don't know, Riley, did you address the hangout that you were on yesterday in planner work?
Did I address the hangout? What do you mean?
Did you address your what went down on yesterday's hangout that you were Discord? Planner work put a Discord to talk about Flutter and stuff, and you had an interaction with the Rumpus and other characters. Did you talk about it?
Well, there wasn't really any back and forth. It was rumpus, 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 rumpus. And then I'd try and object, and he'd say, "Stop talking!" And I'd be like, "Rumpus, rumpus, rumpus, rumpus." It's horrendous.
Yeah.
Right.
So if anybody want to take a look, Planner Walk channel. I'm not promoting nothing, but if you're a fan of O'Reilly, you gotta go and watch it. Interesting.
Well, I wouldn't bother. There's not a lot of talk there, to be honest.
I would bother. Oh, I would love everybody to see your interaction there.
Why did I fuck up?
No, yeah. I mean, you stood your ground. It was like 20 ballers against you, so that's why I said
Yeah.
you should promote it.
Nah, I'm not promoting on a foreign channel. I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous. Come and see my channel. Come and sub to me instead.
Oh, you should mirror then that. You should snip the parts that you feel comfortable and mirror in the channel then, so people can see
I
you.
can't be bothered. It's the same shit all the time. It's rumpus, 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 rumpus. Stop talking. All right, so I think I've got it.
Thanks, Robin.
Don't leave yet, Robin.
He's already dropped, but yeah, if the presentation makes no...
Please don't go.
If you can, just do it anyway. That'd be great.
Right, I've sussed it now. Right, so part of the problem for the ballers is that when they do their calculations, right, they apply the height of the amount of the curvature is applied against the actual height of the mountain, but they treat the mountain as though it's the same size all the way back, and that's why the claim is that everything above eye level is always above eye level on a plane. It's not always true, because you can have, when you get one mountain that gets to a certain distance and then it stops shrinking because it's stopped getting further away from you. You can have other mountains that go further and keep the further away they go, the smaller they get. So the further away it goes, there comes a point where it flips over to become smaller than the object in the foreground, because that's what perspective is. But there's two faults with the curve maths. Is when you put the curve maths against the mountain, they always put it as though the mountain is immediately in front of you at full height. Even when it's right down here and it's a little tiny mountain, they still put it as though it's right in front of you. So they don't account for its size as a function of distance.
Stop there, stop, don't go on, don't go on. Ah, go back.
I'm doing it.
Right, so the way they do that is by using feet and inches. So if you can just put your mouse over the first mountain, the one next to the man. Let's say that's 1,000 feet. Well, that will be plugged into the curve maths as 1,000 feet, even though clearly he's got the guy on the left's got to literally arc his neck to see the top of it. Yeah? Now, the mountain on the far right, hover over that, that's also 1,000 feet, and will be calculated as 1,000 feet, even though it's clearly below the line of the guy's eye line, because it's got smaller as a result of distance, but that will still be calculated as 1,000 feet. So when it was described that Renier should be bigger, well, that's because the feet and inches value is higher, but it's further away. But they completely ignore that aspect, and then tell you how you should see forever on a flat plane. Bollocks. Perspective is real. You just ignore it. Well, don't ignore it, you hijack it, because the effect of that mountain dropping below this guy's eye line will be called curvature when they assume R. Sorry, Anthony, I just wanted to add that.
But the problem is, as we've just seen on that previous slide, that the mountains all get smaller as a function of distance, but they also drop behind the curve. So what they're doing is they're applying the curve calcs against the full height of the mountain. They've got to reduce the height of the mountain as a function of distance, then apply the curve. It's a double effect. and it fucks them every single time when you point that out, because basically that curve is getting bigger and bigger and bigger, but the mountain's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the only way they can counter it is to make the mountain stay the same size, which is why we now coin the phrase Muppet vision. When it's in Muppet vision, this is what you get. You get the mountain at the actual full size, no matter how far away it gets. And they make the claim, on a flat Earth, the mountain in the background would always be bigger than the mountain in the foreground. No, it's relative to its size and its distance, because perspective is the function of distance. Things do get smaller as a function of distance. And what they don't tell you is it's really hard to envisage the difference between a taller mountain that's close or middle distance away from you against a smaller mountain that's really far away, or vice versa. You can have a small mountain that's close to you and a really big mountain but really far away, and you can have them overlap with each other and block one can block the other out, and you'd say that'd never happen on a flat plane.
Shout out to Sean Tibbets for smashing the super chat. Also, Eagle Plane and Anchor smashing the super chat. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate your support.
Yeah, and what I also want to do whilst I'm on screen share, and what I would like to do is remind people about the difference between what do you call it? Science and science and tech, because obviously technology is technology. We need to have that distinction between science and technology, guys. So remember, if they can't wiggle it, they can't call it a science. They've got to wiggle it, otherwise it's not science. So let's not forget that. That song needs to be impregnated in everybody's mind for the next week or two while this point gets addressed. If they don't wiggle it, it's not science. If they do wiggle it, then they can prove the cause of the effect that they believe they're looking at. But if they can't wiggle it, it's not science. I'm done.
One thing that's difficult to do in photography, especially when you go higher up in elevation, you're not on a known flat sea level type area, is because of all the angles of the surface that you're on. If you're on a mountain, it could be angled up, it could be angled down. But if you carry a leveler, the leveler is based on the apparatus that you have. So, for example, you have a leveler on a tripod, that just can be level based on where the tripod is standing. So trying to get a horizontal shot exactly with the horizon is just going to be pretty difficult to do. And so if you dip the camera at a downward angle, objects in the distance are going to appear higher up. And if you angle it upward, you're going to have, of course, objects that are in the foreground that's going to be a lot higher up and things like that. Just something to mention because I take a lot of photos.
Yeah, again, every aspect that you've just detailed is completely ignored in the curve calculations. You're only doing what they dictate you do with your camera. The further you look, the more the camera points down. So you're not allowed to point the camera up. That doesn't even factor in. You're pointing it at whatever given angle they give you with a sagittor to the horizon. That's what they give you. And that's what your camera's doing. Well, you say, well, no, I've got my camera perfectly level. I'm afraid not. It was slightly angled down. Now let's use this maths that demands it slightly angled down, because that's what it does. Yeah, I had to have Jose over the barrel over that a couple of days ago. So he was telling us that we're seeing curve, and I'm like, right, so we're leaning back on our ankles, Jose? Remember?
I remember.
Building up that bulge.
Like leaning back on their ankles.
Yeah, we stop being on the top of the ball when there's a bulge obscuring your view. Because obviously the bulge is the top. Shout out to Cynical Skeptic for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed. So, yeah.
If you use Muppet vision, then the bulge should be in the middle. You should be leaning back and the observation leaning back. But relative to the center of the earth, everybody is standing right side up.
So if you're at the top,
and you're always looking down into the distance.
How can you be at the top if there's a bulge above you blocking your view, Jose? That's a contradiction in terms.
Because your senses tell you you're standing right side up.
Yeah, I never understood that point when bowlers would say there's supposed to be a bulge in front of us, but at the same time say we're on top of the ball. If we're on top of the ball, there's no bulge sticking up in front of us. It's just curving down. It's a ball.
Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. He says Jose's got some splaining to do.
No, but chocolate, it's not sticking up in front of us. It is when we are looking down into the distance, it will be in between the further distance and the closer distance.
No. That's not correct, Darwin. If you look at...
Should be.
You've got to look on Metabunk. You're angled back, leaning backwards, and tipping your camera down. And that just gets worse and worse and worse and worse as you go further and further away, looking further into the distance. You've definitely got a bulge rising up above your position, blocking your view. The thing you're looking at in the distance is below the bulge, then there's the bulge above the thing you're looking at, and then there's you. Right? With you leaning back on your ankles, pointing your camera down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't have arguments today. Jose came in today. Jose B stay home.
Are you leaning forward, not backwards? Then
No,
you'd just be
backwards.
looking up into the sky.
Backwards. Leaning backwards, pointing your camera down.
Okay.
You would have to be leaning backwards, wouldn't you, Arwen? If you're the way think about the way the Muppet Vision works, right? They got him on the ball, but
nail in the
with
head,
the
Muppet Vision.
Can somebody bring up the
What did you say,
Metabunk
Jose?
depiction, please? Can somebody bring that up so we can just show Arwin?
Could somebody bring what up?
The Metabunk depiction of us leaning backwards, creating a sagittar.
Muppet Vision.
Well,
make
it's
any
not necessarily
sense.
to depict Muppet Vision, although it is in Muppet Vision. You're right.
The question is, why are you guys presenting orthographic views?
We're not. It's Metabunk.
I heard you don't like orthographic views. Yeah, Metabunk, whatever it is you want to present some orthographic view.
We were just trying to describe the bullshit, that's all.
Ooh. Metapunk's changed, Nathan.
Oh, yeah. So it has. They've got you on the top of the ball. Wow. So you see how this is pointing down, Arwin? So you're creating a sagittar.
Hang on, I'm just trying to work out what he's done.
Hey, Physics Warrior.
Hey Nathan, how are you?
Very well indeed.
Physics, what's up, man?
Hey guys, hey Choco, Travis, Warrior.
Wait, so
What's
they
he
went
changed here? I
and
don't understand what he's
Muppet
done.
Vision.
They've not. They've just repositioned. It used to be that they had this position back here with it going across slightly. So now he's just put everyone at the top of the ball, and now you've got a, it just highlights the pointing down bit more. So you're looking down at an angle.
Huh. Right, so you don't
Remember
have to.
scale, Nathan.
You don't have
Leave
to
the
stand
scale
on
out.
your heels. You just stand right straight up and look down slightly.
What, even if you're not? This is. If you look here, Arwin, what's this line? Can you see? Oh, you can't see what I'm pointing. There's a line at the top that says eye level. Do you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got horizon
Yeah.
dip and surface level.
Right.
Well,
Well,
according
when
to
you
this-
look on a ball, you look at eye level. You're always going to be looking at the sky,
Sure, but the surface level.
unless there's a mountain in front of you.
The surface level should be falling away, isn't it?
Yep.
Right? According to the diagram, how it's depicted now. Yeah? But the surface level is rising up to meet your eye line.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this as well. This really makes the.
No, but
a
that's
really
in
good point.
reality, not on the presupposed ball.
If this is the presupposed ball, Arwin, what are you talking about? On the presupposed ball, the horizon rises up to meet your eye level.
Oh, when you look down, you mean? Yeah.
That's.
sure.
I've just said this. You've got two choices. Either you're looking parallel, but you're leaning back on your ankles, or you're looking severely down. Even if
No,
you're looking
the-
completely straight.
The $7 one. The stack of wood instead of the 20. The bundle, yeah.
Bundle. So it appears that you, in the depiction they show you, you're looking down, but it's a scale issue. In the real world, you appear to be looking straight forward, but it's definitely looking down.
So we're always looking down, like I said then, Jose, in your model. We're not allowed to look up.
You're allowed to look up to the sky, yeah.
Well, why is it that Ranty's observation, where his camera is physically pointing upwards because he's dug a hole in the sand, why is it that I can't put that into the Metabunk calculation then? Why is it that it forces me to always look down? Why would that be the case, when clearly we can look up? That's what I thought. Silence.
Looming.
We don't have to look down. It forces us to look down. It insists that we are looking down, whether we like it or not. Whether we actually are or not. Like in the case of Ranty, where he's definitely tilting the camera up. But you can't even calculate that in this calculator. It doesn't allow you to. Because you must be looking down. They've got to negate perspective after all and call it curvature. So the things that according to them are dropping around a curve, we say are falling towards the horizon because they're getting smaller with distance. Well, it's useful to say, no, you're just looking down at the curve we presuppose. Forget perspective. Everything's always the same feet and inches value. Why are we going through this? We've gone through this about 1,000 times. The curve calculators are begging the question fallacy. It assumes its outcome. It's got a radius in there. That's the very thing they're trying to prove, isn't it? They're trying to prove Earth's got a sphericity, a radius. Well, they've already got it in the calculator. So just go negate all of this crap and just go, where'd you get that value from? The R value. And they'll quickly tell you, if they're honest, that it's come from looking at a light in the sky and then presupposing that the circular path they say it takes is actually tracking the outside edge of a sphere. That's a presupposition. So they're just going to decide arbitrarily in this calculation that you're already on a sphere. As soon as you use the calculator, you're on a sphere. So it's like, well, let's not use the calculator then, because it's already seeming to be putting me on a sphere. Let's figure out where you've got the values from. Well, you haven't. Nobody's got a value of R, a spherical radius value. They've just presupposed it based on a light in the sky that's above you. Well, according to them, it's not above you. When you track it on the equator, it's on the outside edge of a sphere. In other words, they've already bloody decided it's a sphere. And there's the bloody R value to prove it. So what does it prove? It proves they can assume their outcome. That's all it proves. That's why very rarely do we have ever any globe heads come on and present the maths anymore. This is the first time in about 3 months because it's a flat earther who's talking about an aside debate he's had. Chances of any globe heads coming on and showing us the maths, they know exactly what will happen. Show us where you got the R value from. Oh, well, we already know it's a sphere. What, so you're begging the question and assuming your outcome then? What's the point in doing any calculations? Let's just look at the sphere value you've got already. Because there it is. Sphere. Radius value.
Well, Nathan, realistically speaking, this is a calculator that everybody get hands on and everybody can use at how it works on a sphere, whether you like it or not. Now, if you want to link me to this perspective,
how it works, what? Sorry.
Yay! Now you can presuppose the sphere as well.
Jose, what did you say? How it works? What?
How it works on a sphere. Would you like to present how a perspective
how it
of
works
flatter
on a
calculator
sphere?
works?
Sorry,
or
Jose.
where do I find it?
It seems you've missed my point entirely. By saying how it works on a sphere is to say you are going to automatically assume it's on a sphere. That's the point.
Unless I find a flatter calculator that I can use. Thank you.
What, like just using random perspective? Just looking at things and calculating their angular size. Yeah, we can do that, Jose. We don't need to assume anything when we do that. In fact, the starting point for your mathematics is the same as ours. The only difference being you presuppose a radius value.
Would you like to link it? Link the calculator so I can use it?
Link what?
Jose, I don't actually need to calculate it to imagine that I'm on a ball.
Anthony, can you do me a favour? Can you go to an angular size calculator for Jose, please? Just to show him what it looks like.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And we can key in the observer high and the distances and all this good stuff. Yeah, let me see.
For what? What's it proving, Jose?
Oh, nothing, just how stuff can disappear from the bottom up, for example.
Yeah, we know. So why are we doing it though? What's the point? Because if we use our calculations, we're just looking at stuff and measuring it. If we use your calculations, it ignores all aspects of perspective and assumes the outcome is a sphere. Well, that's crap. That's just a religious dogma site that tells people that they can beg the question. That's all it does.
It's okay.
Yeah, and it was present me a graphic at the end on what is going to be disappearing from the bottom up in this angular size calculator.
So what you're saying is, failing us begging the question and assuming we're on a sphere to begin with, you want an alternative to that begging the question fallacy in order to relinquish it. No, it's okay, Jose. You can beg the question all you bloody like. Keep your calculator, mate. Assume it's a sphere all day long, mate. Me, I don't do that because That's begging the question, assuming the outcome. And when you find out where they've got that R value from, it certainly doesn't prove a sphere. It proves they've presupposed it. So you can do that all you like. I keep telling you, you don't seem to listen, Jose. I don't have to offer you dick. I don't have to offer you an alternative to your shit model and its assumption of R. I can just laugh at you when you assume it. Ha ha ha! Jose likes to assume that the sun travels round the outside edge of a sphere because other men have told him. How smart is Jose? Do you think I give a crap that I'm not giving you an alternative? Just believe it, Jose. Good for you, mate, you religious fundy. Good for you. Believe your assumption in R. Good for you. What's that you say? I'm not giving you a good enough alternative to leave? Stay with them, you stupid muppet. Yeah? Let them tell you what your world is, mate. Don't take any responsibility for yourself. Just let the dictators tell you, right? Assume it all you like, Jose. Don't demand that I give you an alternative. I'll just tell you to piss off. Assume it all you bloody like, you religious fundy.
Okay, let me answer to this. I'm a religious fundy. I'm a believer. I have faith. I presuppose R. I beg the question. I do all this stuff. I just believe in the stories. And there are at least 3 calculators that doesn't represent reality. An Earth curve calculator because it's bullshit. It doesn't exist. Now, reality is flattered. Please present me on these calculators. Go.
Right.
Wow. Awesome.
And with that, I will say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in on the Nathan Oakley channel and hopefully sharing this live debate. Also a massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of the debating panel for making this live debate possible. If you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980 channel, then be sure to stay tuned as there is an after show to follow. Once again, a massive thank you to all of the live audience. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!